Welcome. This is Crimey Queen. If you are joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we get excited about love. This is where we ignite that which dwells from within us, that which comes alive, makes us smile, makes us laugh. Hence, we say the crimson light is life. So that's what we call the crimson light. Whatever makes you laugh, whatever makes you smile, that which gives you the drive to be alive or to continue enjoying life. Okay, so of course, this is about self love and numerology. And if you're joining us for the first time, we use a template which we call sacrifice. It's the sacrifice template that derives from the crucifixion of Christ. Okay, and which all came from just wanting to do a video on Easter at Easter time, and we haven't looked back since. Okay. Now, the image is Mother Eve because through my presentations, I have also discovered, of course, talking about Christ, that there are strong correlations with Christ and Eve. Basically, it's as if they are one and the same. And that is perhaps a little bit strong to say, but numerically speaking, that's how it is. Or if we say that they are one and the same, it's saying, well, they are mother and son. Same thing. Okay. So today is Friday the 13th, and I thought I would um, explore this area, although I have spoken quite a bit on the number 13, and I think I ought to really make reference to the number 13 again here on this template, of course, because it's around the sacrifice of Jesus Christ or the Last Supper. Let's put things in perspective. It's the Last Supper. The Last Supper was of 12 disciples and Christ, meaning there were 13 people at the table. We've seen the pictures, perhaps on our grandmother's walls or even our mother's walls, and they are in many homes today. Okay, so it's the Christian plaque of self or acknowledgement or declaration. Yeah, declaration would be perhaps more appropriate. Okay, so this is what we are talking about. So 13 people at the table. Now, what we have discovered talking about the number 13, and perhaps that's why, of course, there's this thing about, oh, for some people, they wouldn't even, I know people who wouldn't even go outside their doors on Friday the 13th because they have had experiences that have caused them pain, and hence they would not really like explore going out, because going out of the door, which would be out of the beehive, so to speak, it's as if they would die. It would seem like it was a bad death for them. And so, of course, the letter B, as I have said in some of my presentations, the letter B is really the formation of 13. It's so let's explore that again, and I just thought it was more appropriate to look at that again. Okay, just to ensure that the volume is up on this, so I'm not speaking with my high volume as usual because it is late in the wee hours of the night, and of course I've got neighbors close by. Okay. Ah, so there we go. Um, so we are looking at 13. Of course, we said 13 disciples and 12 disciples and Christ. Of course, he was a disciple means discipline, or people who are in the thought school of discipline. So there we are, 13. And how we have concluded that 13 is really that beehive. Of course, I've also got presentations on the beehive, which you might find very interesting. So anything you see with the letter B or beehive or 13, check it out. Yes. And so this is the bee. Now, B here also forms It's also, as I call it, it's the breast, it's the buttocks, it's the but I like to see it as the breast that gives that nurturing. Now, even if we say that it was the buttocks, for instance, some people would see it as a form of nurturing as well, in that it excites and it nurtures that it's a form of nurturing the emotional need or emotional desire. So many, of course, find they quench their thirst and desires through the buttocks. So anything we see with this M, and we have done M, and it's that me as well. We hear everything, it's about me. So we have the M, we have W, and we say, of course, W is another thing that I have done a presentation on. That means there are two aspects to our being, W. And I am going to stand by this. It's like saying we are not just, it's like two sides to ourselves. Oh, yes, this has just come to me. It's like saying the negative aspect of ourselves and the positive aspects of ourselves. That's one way of putting it. So that W, that is the to you. Then there is that other aspect of ourselves, if we were to say that negative and positive aspect of ourselves. And when we meet another individual who behaves in a certain way towards us, whether we like it or not, that usually is a representation of ourselves. So we are saying that we are one. But of course, because of our conscious level of attention, we are only in or we are constantly in one moment of that recognition of the other person or the other aspects of ourselves. So, for instance, if okay, unless we want to look at a group of people and saying, oh, they were very rowdy, but that would say that they were one representing one aspect, that there's the rowdy part of ourselves that they had reflected, and we don't want to see that part of ourselves. We do not want to acknowledge that part of ourselves. So hence we are saying there was W, because we are the ones making that distinction about that separation, or units, if you like. So W, as in you, units. Okay. And then we have 3, of course. And as you'll see on behind me, it's the number 3 and of course number 2, which is very appropriate in line of what we are saying here as well, because B comes under the numerical value of 2, and of course we have the 3 here. Now, of course, 2 and 3 is 5. Now, I also have come to work out, yes, here we could say we see 1 and 2 is 3, and of course that 3 also is a formation. We see 3 comes under the B, under the L, sorry, under the L here. So here we have 3 as L, okay, L on the luck. And then we also have the 1, which is 4. So in essence, 13 is really 2, or that comes under that block. 1 plus 3 equals 4. But it comes under this block here because we see, according to the template that we are using here, that the B comes under the 2. Now, appropriately, or and it's not just incidentally or accidentally, because we know now we all are on this journey of understanding that things are in place to teach us, to help us grow and to become better versions of our and expressions of who we are. And who we are is really reflecting the higher or higher selves, or hopefully that's what we are doing, and our creator. Okay, so In the essence of looking at number 13 as with Christ and the disciples, we could see that the significance of that bonding, the significance of that coming together. This is where I say that where, according to the scriptures, where two shall come together, there it shall be according to what they ask or whatever it is. But it's like saying where two come two or more, I think it said two, where two come together. So this two meaning here, it's like saying whenever you come as two, you have come as the whole, you have come as left and right, you have agreed to be together, you have come as in unity, you have come in agreement, you have come with declaration of saying, well, this is what we are going to do. And hence, of course, no wonder why, because these were the words of Christ, where two shall come together, or where two shall ask of something or touch on something or agree on something and ask of something. These were words that were saying that it shall be according to my Father. These were words of Christ, which is in heaven. Of course, heaven is 10. Now, 10 is really, as we say, of course, 10 is 1. But 10 is where you have the balance of male and female. Hence why 10 in itself can become 1, because it constitutes that 0 and that 1. So it's the reflection of hard and soft, tall and low, whatever polarities you want to put it as. Hence it comes, we could see that the 1 is a rigid line, but we can see the S, which represents the snake, if you like, which represents wisdom, which represents flexibility. So basically we could look at the 1, and it could be that which you are formed a soft line. So this is a straight line, and this is a flexible line, of course, which you know. Okay, so back to the B is where we say that it's the beehive. This is where the breast, or according to the scriptures as well, the Passover, like a child is sucking onto one breast and moves onto another. This is where agreements are formed and people are shaking hands on there. I call this column the basket of bread, or the bucket of wine, or which was all representations of blood and bread, or the flesh of Christ. Now, every time I say that, now it's like it leaves a kind of resonance, or representation or image of people indulging in sacrifices of blood. And of course, because those images have been formed in our minds from the Old Testament, and for throughout those teachings, and of course now in today's world has escalated in ways that we really do not want to perceive or want to accept is really happening. I struggle with thinking that some of the things I hear is really does happen. So, but it's that it seemed like things have gone or been taken in certain contexts, or I'm not even sure if it is a different context, or because it's all in the name of sacrifice. But the essence of these presentations is to help us realize that perhaps what is really on the timer is 13:49. Perhaps what is really essential for us to remember is what sacrifice really means is that leaving the abandonment of the things that no longer serve us, those desires that just only feeds the lower chakra, and really this stagnate or growth or development. And I'm believing that it really means that we need to find this place of the all bread being the breath that gives us more life, more nurturing, like learning to breathe, for instance, and hence where Christ said, well, man shall not live by bread alone. Oh, and of course it said by every word that cometh out of his mouth. So I'm believing that in that text, for instance, that's what is required. The sacrifices of the language we choose to use, the words we choose to use, and those we abandon. Those, so here we are talking about. Perhaps this is the real sacrifice that we are meant to be making. I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you have found it fun. So do like and subscribe, and of course stay ignited until of course the next presentation, or of course, as I say, do share. I'm not even sure if I've said this already, but however, thank you for watching. Namaste. Spill over with love.